And we are live from Ringwood, New Jersey. Hi, folks. Welcome to tonight's webinar. It's the third in a series about the courage to live with. And we talk about, in this series, things that are uplifting yet thought-provoking, because in life we have situations where there are loved ones of ours who often need our help. And it could be a parent, it could be a spouse, it could be an aunt or an uncle, and it also could be a child. So tonight, I am so pleased to have with me my friend, Linda Zanny, right? Mm-hmm. Thomas. Linda and I met at our yoga class here in Ringwood.
Thanks, Violet.
Yes, we love Violet. Violet
yeah.
is the best.
Yeah.
I often tell people that yoga is what keeps me out of jail. And it's I would be a different person without yoga, for sure. And you know, when you're a caregiver, you know that you have to take good care of yourself, and yoga for us is a big part of
exercise in general.
Yes, absolutely, because you have a tendency to neglect your own needs when you're looking after the needs of another human being. Yeah. And so, you know, we are big proponents of self-care. And so Linda is the mother of a medically fragile, severely developmentally disabled young adult woman, 28-year-old Marisa Thomas, who is now an attendee at the Red Ribbon Academy Medical Special Needs Day Program in Wayne, New Jersey. And tonight, we're going to talk about this population in the state of New Jersey and detail the many caregiving options that are available to parents. Linda is also a marketing and communications professional. You have a master's degree, don't you?
Yes, I just got my master's.
Yes, congratulations.
Patterson.
That's fantastic. And she is a state and national advocate for the medically fragile population. So welcome, Linda. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and welcome to our viewers tonight.
Welcome. So, the way I like to start is to talk about, you know, because I'm a caregiver, and a lot of what we do is caregiver support. I like to start from framing the conversation around caregiving. And Linda is, of course, a caregiver. So I wanted to ask about her story because, you know what, this is something that we've never really talked about in detail before. And, you know, and because my world is caregiving, you know, adults, you know, this is a very different way of framing the caregiving conversation. So, Linda, welcome.
Thank you.
And so please tell us what led you to caregiving.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say to the audience, hello. And if you have any questions, big or small, just write them in. Tracy will tell me. And I will answer any and every question. Don't worry. I would say the question is, what led me to caregiving? Well, before really this webinar, I really don't describe myself as a caregiver, because when you're with somebody who has needed care, not just being a child, but being a medically fragile child, severely developmentally disabled, it's like you are a caregiver, but it's just the way you mother. Because you haven't gone from where you're taking care of someone who needs care that never needed it before. Right. It's been a slow and steady. I don't know if we're going like this. I don't know if we're going like this. Right. But it's slow and steady. So it kind of like, so we just, when you see somebody who's the parent of a very severely disabled person with developmental disabilities, you know, intellectual disabilities, they don't think of themselves as caregivers.
Right.
We would describe the caregiver as like if we had a home health care person or a nurse coming in the house and assisting us. Right. They are the caregiver, which is weird. But yet we are. So when did I become a caregiver? I guess, you know, 28 years ago.
When Marisa was born.
Yeah, I became a caregiver. Yeah.
So so tell us about Marisa's condition.
Okay. I will say that I had a pretty normal pregnancy. And neither my husband nor I, this is 28 years ago, realized that there was anything wrong until after she was actually born. When we were supposed to come home from the hospital, the neonatologist told us she can't come home because she's not regulating her body temperature. And then they did a CAT scan, I guess. Remember, 28 years ago, we didn't have everything we have now.
Of course.
So they said, she has severe brain damage. We said, what? Like, we were so, like, shocked that he actually left the room and came back and then said, did you two hear me? And we were like, yeah, we heard. We were thinking, you know, this guy's probably wrong. What's happening right now? You know, what does he know? Well, it turned out he knew a lot because she really does had very severe brain damage. We weren't really sure she was going to make it. Neither was he. I mean, people did not think she was going to make it, and she did need life-saving surgery. Probably at about 3 weeks, she had hydrocephalus, so she needed a shunt put in, and we had to have that done. Right. And I will just say this now, being very honest. I think if anyone gets through this hour and doesn't say what at least one time, I will not have done my job. So I will now say to Tracy that we took her around, of course, for second opinion, you know, say, of course, what in the world is happening? She looks okay, you know, she looked okay at the time. And she actually had started to gain weight. You know, she was eating, by the way, she also had colic. So can you believe that?
Just for fun.
Just for fun, she also had colic, which was like even worse than any of her developmental disease. It was truly a crazy situation. Yeah. So they actually told us not to do the surgery and just let her go. 2 doctors told us that because we were like, whatever. So we did the surgery. She actually got a lot better right after the surgery. And she hit the first, you know, you're always as a new mother, you're looking at those milestones. Sure. You're looking at that chart. She was never even on the chart in weight. She was like always tiny, and you know she still is today. But she was hitting some of the milestones. But she hit about up to the 3-month mark. We would be very, you know, whatever other kids were doing, she was doing, except she wasn't doing anything with her eyes because she was blind. And but the other thing she was doing, so we were kind of like a little bit cheerful, and then you know it just fell down like that. But she, you know, she's been living home with us all the time. And, you know, in her own way, she is getting better and better. And it just takes a super long time for her to make any inroads into it. Right. We are capable of doing.
Yeah. So, because of her condition, what would have been some of the things that you have to do on a regular basis to help Marissa get through her days what at home?
I guess I'll say to you this, and this I didn't realize in the beginning. When a child has a developmental disability, there's a couple different buckets that they're put into, and those buckets have a lot of, let's say, state or federal funds attached to them. One is the term cerebral palsy. So if you have any kind of physical disability, you can't move. You can move a little bit. Half of you can move, but you have some kind of a limitation. You are in the bucket of cerebral palsy. And there's a couple, so she is that. She never walked or crawled. And she's got okay use of her arms and legs, and arms and hands. The blind was one of them. Of course, that's a sensory disability.
Sure.
And then what used to be called mental retardation is now called developmental disability. That is taboo. You're not supposed to say that. I say that as a informational and educational.
Sure, of course.
Okay, but that's where it was. The ARC was a component of that. So you get into that bucket as well with an intellectual disability. And those are the big ones, if you really think about it.
Right.
So those were some of the disabilities she had. So the question was about limitations. What are her limitations?
Well, what kinds of things do you have to do?
Okay, well, I have to do everything. It's just like if she's 28 years old, but is literally, because you have to go by a person's developmental age, not their chronological age. So 28 years old, she's not doing anything a 28-year-old does. She's doing things because physically with the cerebral palsy, she is at probably whenever kids sit up on their own, maybe 6 months, she can sit on her own. That's where she is. So whatever you do for a 6-month or 9-month-old baby, you do for Marisa. She is never potty trained. I mean, she's in diapers, little tiny diapers, because she's so small. And she eats by mouth, which is good. She drinks and eats by mouth. She really is pretty healthy. But she doesn't do any activities a daily life. So she is of no help whatsoever. Like what is helpful is if she is, learns patience, calmness, cooperation.
Right.
But other than that, she really is not capable of like brushing her hair or helping you or pushing her own wheelchair and stuff like that. So basically, you're dealing with someone who is 28, looks about 10, and is chronologically maybe a 2-year-old. Wow. So it's kind of like, it's a different world. It's just a different world. But you have to go to, you can't lament the fact that they're not 28. You have to go with the fact that they're like 2. And a lot of kids will say like, oh, they just don't understand when you tell them how old it is. And I say to them, have you ever had a baby doll? And I say, yeah. I say, she's just like a big baby doll. Like, she's my baby doll. And then they kind of get it. They're like, oh, I get it. It's okay because I like my baby doll.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, what surprised you? Oh, do we have
a person on there?
Yes. Yes, Lisa is on. She asked if we started, and I did answer her that we haven't started.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And so we're still getting more people coming on board.
Okay.
So,
okay, great. I just didn't know if that was cool.
Yeah. Yes. So, well, you know what? I think what I'm going to do right now is, I think it would be interesting for folks to see Marisa.
Yeah, let's take a look.
And this is
idea.
Yeah, this is really kind of a cool thing. Here in Ringwood, we have an amazing an amazing borough council and a police force. And Marisa is a big fan of the police force here in town.
Yes, she is.
And she is actually an honorary policewoman.
Yes, she's an honorary special officer here in Ringwood.
And I actually have a clip of the ceremony, and so in this way, so everyone can kind of get an idea of you'll actually be able to see Marisa and see her getting her special award. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show this clip. This was in December of 2015. Marisa is being awarded given a citation and some other acknowledgments.
Yes, she has a shield.
Yes,
and a uniform.
And a uniform.
We went to the St. Patrick's Parade and just flashed the shield at people tailgating. So it was pretty fun. Yeah.
So here's Marisa Thomas being honored by the Ringwood Police.
I'll just be very brief. We've all known Marisa for years and years. We've seen her on strollers. And it's kind of emotional, actually. We've seen her in strollers since she was an infant. Now she's in a wheelchair, graduated. Sometimes I think she speeds a little bit with it, but I think the PBA card might take care of that. Unbeknownst to me, over the summer, she attended the Passaic County Sheriff's Department Junior Police Academy. Around Halloween, retired Sergeant Bob Anderson called me up, said she was so enthused about the police academy and law enforcement. She was going to go out trick-or-treating as a police officer and wanted to know if I had any accessories to her uniform. So I found a policewoman badge that we had and a patch. I was so taken with emotion, so was my officers, that I checked with the borough manager, and he was cordial enough and kind enough to let us appoint her as the first honorary special policewoman. Mary Ann Brennan, a fellow board member at Lakeland, tailored the shirt. MBM Enterprises donated the hat and other things. My clerk, or my secretary, Sylvia, my girl Friday. She helped out with the documents. And that's where we are today. If anything inspires you, this is inspiration right here, folks. So without further ado, we can have this.
Thank you, Chief. A proclamation. Whereas Marisa Thomas is a lifelong resident of Ringwood who was born with health challenges including blindness, cerebral palsy, as well as profound developmental disabilities. Defying the odds, Marisa, now 26, is an advocate for severely medically fragile people with developmental disabilities in New Jersey. Marisa is one of the founding students at Red Ribbon Academy and at the Skyland School for the Exceptional. And whereas Marisa Thomas is a graduate of the Passaic County Sheriff's Department Junior Police Academy in July 2015, where she joined 8 fellow Red Ribbon Academy students on Detective Sarah Adele Higgins' squad. And whereas Marisa Thomas has always loved Ringwood, especially being on patrol in her wheelchair stroller in Cupsaw Lake, Kensington Woods, and her favorite, Skylands Manor. Marisa has participated in many community events, including performing at the St. Catherine's of Bologna Art Show, George Martin's Journey for 9/11, and the women's winner in the first Cupsaw Lake Haunted Hilly 5K run. In addition, Marisa has been on patrol in her decorated wheelchair at the Yankees and Giants parades in New York City and lowered the flag at sunset at the tip of Cape May, New Jersey. Marisa dressed as a police officer this Halloween. And whereas Marisa's parents, Gary and Linda, estimate that Marisa has patrolled over 25,000 miles in her wheelchairs in Ringwood in her lifetime. She has retired at least 8 wheelchairs and 4 jogging strollers. And whereas the Mayor and Council, along with the Ringwood Police Department, are inspired by Marisa Thomas's dedication to our community and law enforcement. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Ringwood, on behalf of the citizens of Ringwood, recognize Marisa Thomas as an honorary special police officer for the Ringwood Police Department, dated December 17th, 2015.
We also have a shorter certificate, and Borough Manager Heck will present that to Marisa.
On behalf of the Borough of Ringwood, I'd like to present you with this. It's an honor to do this, and when Chief Walker came to me and asked me to do this, it was certainly with pleasure. So on behalf of all of us, I give this to Marisa, and thank you very much.
I also have something, since she's out of uniform, we have an official hat. And I also have her official identification in a wallet with an ID card. And I believe our president of PBA, Matt Ferraro, has a presentation also.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would also like to present Marisa on behalf of the Ringwood Police Department with a t-shirt from our local 247. We would love for you to have this. And also a certificate recognizing Marisa as an honorary member of Local 247. Thank you very much.
Marisa would like to thank Captain Walker, who's an incredible person, and the Ringwood Police Force, because you're incredible people. We're very proud of you. You do a great job. The council, tremendous job, so thank you very much. We're very proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break. So
Okay. And we're back. So that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's nice to see.
Take that down so we don't get any feedback. Okay. So we're back. And I'm switch back over to okay. All righty. So so that was Marisa Thomas being honored as an honorary special policewoman.
That was awesome. Yeah, thanks for
Yes. So okay. So a more practical question. Now obviously you've got your master's degree.
Yes.
And caring for Marisa is a challenging
Yes.
job.
Yes.
And so how do you handle your respite and substitutes and people who can help with Marisa's care when you're not around?
Well, we've always done it in Ringwood, is we've found people who would babysitter. When I was working, we had different people in town, Linda Galeotto, Margaret Mello. I mean, over the, kids. I mean, we've worn out babysitters. We had guys, Warren Kidd, we had Allison, we had Ray Never. We had a ton of people just babysitting. But in terms of the word respite for us is a much more formal word, because there is a state respite program.
Ah, okay.
Which she has never done, but what you can do is you're allowed a certain amount of hours and they'll take the kids away for a weekend. Mm-hmm. Or even some places have it for a week, but it's usually the less involved kids, right. Not really the medically fragile. But respite to us means something different. We just have babysitters. Like, we've had babysitters for 28 years. Wow. Like, to come here, I had my nephew come over and babysit.
Yes. So
they pay great.
Yes. And it, what's your nephew's name?
Ryan.
Ryan, thanks so much.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Awesome. He's amazing.
That's and that's a really that's a lovely gesture. Yes. So they we can't emphasize that enough, because it's not easy. She is a tiny girl, but she still
takes a lot of
yeah.
So
now we also know that that Marisa is well let's back up. You've used the term medically fragile.
Yes.
Can you explain what that means?
Yes. I am not even sure if I coined that term, but that term is now used pretty widely.
Yeah.
I think just in terms of describing them, I will say this, that there are, in terms of the adult world, 21 plus, there are 2,500 or so adults registered with the state of New Jersey that fall into this category. What is this category? This category is, Marisa's really, she does have seizures. She does have a seizure disorder. So Marisa is really someone who is actually a little bit on the healthier side of our population of the 2,500. About half are like Marisa, and the other half are so fragile medically. Either they've aged into being fragile, or they're born that way, that they need a nurse to give the care, that a parent cannot give the care, right. And a regular home health person cannot give the care, or my nephew Ryan can. Right. You have to have a professional, and that's about 50-50 in our group. So we just lump ourselves, we're so small anyway, we just lump ourselves all together as medically fragile, which means needing extra care, positioning, equipment. I mean, it kind of conjures in your mind somebody that just can't, go it alone. So.
Right. Now, I thought we had dinner together, and we were talking about when Marisa was first born, how someone from the state came to your house.
Yes. What has happened, which is hard to believe, but it's true, is Marisa's 28 now. When she was an infant, anybody, which if you think about, if 2,500 of the kids have lived to adulthood, there's probably 10,000 under 21 that every year, that gets thinner and thinner and thinner until at 21, there's 2,500 people in the population. And it kind of has stayed steady, maybe grown a little bit. But back 28 years ago, before we had a lot of much better medical care and stuff that we have, it was very unusual for people to keep the children at home. And in fact, a state social worker visited my house when Marisa was about 5 weeks old and told me point blank I should place her out of the house in a nursing home or a children's hospital, and she would not work here and not live with us. And the reason was because she said it was going to be too difficult, and that my husband and I would probably end up getting divorced. And here we are, married almost 35 years. So it was, you know, another moment of, we were like, what? Did she say that? I said, don't ever come over to my house again, because that's just crazy. But as it turns out, apparently a lot of people heeded that advice, because right now in the adult world, of the 2,500 people, only a few hundred, like 20% of us, are raising the young adults at home. And that is kind of changing, because people are realizing to follow their ways, whether you're on the side of money or whether you're on the side of, you know, human rights or what's best for someone. People are starting to come around and say, you know what, we should just provide better home services. We should provide the families with a little bit, and then they wouldn't be placing them with just this much work and this much money. So things are kind of switching now. We're a little bit late, New Jersey, but people are finally starting to wise up and say, you know what, we should just give them a little help.
Yeah. Well, a nursing home today, you know, it's thousands of dollars a month. It's like what, $14,000
a month? Yeah, that's about right. And because our children or young adults are developmentally disabled, they are not supposed to be in nursing homes. They are supposed to be in a much better type of setting that has education and richness and recreation, and they're not supposed to be. So right now, we're also economizing by keeping them in nursing homes. But soon that will not be allowed to be done. Extremely soon, I'll tell you why. Because with the new CMS, the Center for Medicaid Services, Home and Community-Based Services, it's a Medicaid expansion. The state of New Jersey will be able to have a match of the state funds and federal funds, which right now it's all state. But you will get zero if these kids are kept in the nursing home.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That's why the state of New Jersey has a huge push on getting our population out of where they never should have been put in the first place. So now they're really scrambling, because they're not going to be able, because the developmental disability, it's different than if you were Tracy or me, something happened, we became 110 and we were in a nursing home. We still may have our wits about us. They never had their wits about them. And they can't just sit in the room with someone shouting at bingo numbers. They need, it's inhumane. So you have, things are coming around slowly.
Right. Now, something that you have helped to create for your daughter is Red Ribbon Academy, and where Marisa spends her days now.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? I think this is an amazing achievement.
Okay, I will start from when they get into adulthood, because I want to say something about grand family planning and Tracy, especially something that's very important on her website. When the kids become 18, what then? Everyone's thinking, well, you know, they can smoke cigarettes and join the army. But and at 21 they can drink. And vote. I should have said vote. But our kids, we have to get them an ID card. And we have to go through a guardianship process where, even though we're their parents, no one else has to do this, but we do. I had to declare her mentally incompetent to handle her affairs. And then we had to go through a whole rigmarole. We hired a lawyer and everything else to do all the paperwork in Passaic County, which is the county we live in, to have us be able to handle her affairs and her money. Now, the only money she has is from SSI disability, which is a very small stipend that they can get. I think maybe it starts at 18. And they get a small check. They cannot have more than $2,000 in their savings account at all, or they will lose all Medicaid benefits, including any medical benefits. So, and we have to do a lot of paperwork. But there is a way in Passaic County for parents to do the guardianship process themselves. It costs just a couple $100. The information is on Tracy's website.
Yes,
which is extremely important. And if you are or know a special needs parent in Passaic County and other counties, check with your county. But in Passaic County, just do what's on Tracy's website. And I've sent a lot of people over here. And
I'm going
you're
to,
going to switch it over now?
yeah, I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to go over to, oop.
There it is.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. I gotta, hold on a second. I gotta go back to here. Oh. Hold on a sec. Jam. Okay. That's not good. Hold on a sec.
There we are. We're back.
Okay.
Maybe we
want
can
to-
describe it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go to the application window and I'm going to switch over. There it is. Okay.
You know this.
And share it. Okay. So, so here, the Grand Family Planning website is www.grandfamilyplanning.com. And you don't have to remember the name of the page, but if you go to resources and select for parents of special needs children, you know, when Linda and I were talking one day, and she was explaining to me how you know, parents could apply for guardianship on their own without an attorney. And sorry, attorney friends, if you're watching,
Yes.
but you know, this is something that parents can do themselves in the now. This only works for Passaic County, folks, and I have gotten calls from people who have asked me, why don't you have Bergen County? Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what some of the counties
So, but
may not let families, but in Passaic County,
you can do it.
tons of medically fragile and other individuals. And by the way, not just the medically fragile.
Mhm.
Everybody has to do this. Not just the medically fragile, the developmentally disabled all have to do this. Because remember, they're not going to be driving, so they don't have that piece of ID.
Right.
And it's amazing, but you have to get a piece of ID. So we had to take Marisa down and have her picture taken, and she had to get a piece of ID. And, you know, if you want to go on any kind of vacation or, you know, just to even get some, you know, something for the hospital or whatever, God forbid there's a disaster, a flood or something. So it's that's a great resource. It's just very popular. It's something I didn't do. A mother of Susie at Red Ribbon Academy, her name is Francesca. She's the one that actually did it and provided all this material. It's really a great resource.
Yes. So if you go to the website, you download the special needs packet. It's a zip file, and you can then look at the documents and you can utilize them. And you know, we provide it as a public service because we want people to be able to support their children and be able to deal with this bureaucratic task.
Yes.
You know, without having
ease and very little money.
With some ease. And you know, and it's important to mention here for people who have non-developmentally challenged children, who just have children who are age 18. Okay, and this is something that a lot of parents don't know about, that they overlook. As soon as a child turns 18, they are considered to be liberated.
True.
So, you know, if you have a child who is you know, independent and capable, and they're going to high school on their own steam, and you know, or they're going to college or whatever. God forbid they land in the emergency room, and you need to go down there and find out what's going on and present their medical insurance, which you as their parent are paying for. You know, you need to have a letter.
Really?
Yes, from your child that says, I give my parent permission to speak for me if I'm incapacitated.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I'm glad I can.
Yes, so we have to do the same thing, only ours is, you know, a lot more complicated.
Right.
Because when they came to the house, and you know, they come, they want to speak to the developmentally disabled person, just as they would speak to a regular 18-year-old, right?
Right.
And they came to the house, and you know, they're always coming. Believe me, we are the only group that's involved with the state and federal government from when kids are born, and the paperwork and the stuff we do is it's really terrible. It's really terrible.
I can't imagine.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But they came. They said they came to Ringwood. They said, you know, we have to see her. to see if she's going to get, benefits or, anything. And I said, okay. And they said, we need to talk to her. And I was like, okay,
Lots of
how's this gonna go? And I said, they said, well, we really need to see, how disabled she is. I said, tell you what, come over at 2:30. And when she gets off the van, this was in high school. She went to the Cerebral Palsy High School. I said, then you can talk to her. And I just watched the person, this poor girl. And here comes Marisa in the van. Window drops down. The ramp comes out. Here she comes. And I said, I told you it would take about 30 seconds. She goes, yeah, let's just go in and do the paperwork. But she said, I hate to say this, but I have to ask her, do you want to continue living with your parents? Do they do anything bad with your money? Like, she goes, I have to ask her these questions. And I said to the girl, I felt sorry for her. I said, she can say the word N-O, but she does not know what it means. I said, what if she says, and I didn't even say it. I actually said, because I didn't want Marisa to hear me. And then say no.
Repeat it.
I said, what if you ask her and she says that word? She goes, you have to go before a judge and you have to get an attorney. Can you believe that? So thank God Marisa, when asked the questions, answered the way she does a lot of questions. She said, hi, honey. That was her answer. And it was like smooth sailing. But yeah, I mean, this, things like this, any kind of tips that you can get from another parent. I mean, it's going to help you out tremendously that went through this. So
absolutely. And that's what we're so glad you're here.
Yes,
that
thank
you're here
you.
this evening.
Thank you.
So, and there's so much that doesn't make sense.
No.
We're talking before. Now, I know about the Medicaid process. I have a number of clients who, when their parents get to a certain stage, they have to apply for Medicaid because they're out of money. And they need to be able to document, 5 years backwards, the so-called look-back period, right?
Yes, correct.
They have to have those bank statements.
Yes.
Now, because Marisa has always been disabled,
yes,
Linda has been tasked with having to document 5 years worth of expenses, like every year.
That every year they ask for the same information plus, and we always say, can't you just
connect the dots?
Say that you've already received that and that's never going to change, and then just let us do the new stuff. No, so you literally send something that's this high to the state. It is the most, I tell you, the things that everything is set up, but as I drew my little chart here, this is like a regular, bell curve. You can see right here. Okay, everything in life is for, the people in the middle, the average person, and then you have the exceptional people over here. And Steve Jobs is over here. And then over here is Marisa and the rest of the severely developmentally disabled individuals, the medically fragile individuals here. This is severity. Nothing fits us. And, it's taken a while, but the families finally realized, on their own, with social media is so great. Because we were able to band together. But everyone kind of was like, I don't fit in. My daughter doesn't fit in. She doesn't have Down syndrome. She can't really do special. She doesn't fit in. That's because she's way over here. So everything is such a struggle. And you have to have a good sense of humor. And you have to band together with other parents. And together, like with Red Ribbon Academy, just a long ways around. And just quickly, I'll tell you, to band together with other parents to say, what is available to my child who is now 21? When you're in school, you're entitled to an education. But and our kids can go to 21. They're entitled to 21. Well, the day they get out of school, they're entitled to 0, nothing. And this has led families again to say, I have to go to work. My child is deteriorating. I now have to place her out of the home. That is all state dollars. And it's costing literally 8 times as much as it would cost for somebody to be at home. So that's where it's been a crazy situation where you're on the merry-go-round and you're repeating yourself. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to be in front of senators and meetings with the state and just said the same things over and over. And it finally gets through when they realize, we say, no matter whether you're on the side of the money or you're on the humanity, it's all the same. You have to create things that are going to be of a service, and it makes you feel good. And Red Ribbon Academy is a day program sponsored by the state of New Jersey. Soon, if there is a Medicaid expansion, soon it will not be 100% state money. It will be 50% state and 50% federal. And that will require Medicaid expansion. So one of the things that's mobilizing our people right now, and like disabled people have gotten arrested. It's only a matter of time before Marisa, the Ringwood's first special officer, could be jailed for protesting. But I tell you, they're going to call me from jail right away and say, "You got to come get her." It's ridiculous. But I think that, you know, the whole thing is when people say, "I want to crush and get rid of Medicaid," no, we're on the verge of a Medicaid expansion to alleviate this situation I just said. Now, did I say, does it make sense?
Absolutely.
I mean, so maybe, you know, maybe some people don't need Medicaid, but this group here insists, I want everyone, whether you have a severely developmentally disabled child or adult in your life or not, I want everyone to get on the bandwagon with us because it's really the right thing to do for many, many reasons.
Of course.
So.
And, Lindsay was speaking before also about the schooling her out of district.
Yes.
And that was
yes. I mean, everything
so
we
brilliant.
Do, again, when you're on that end, everything is completely different. So, for example, in Maurice's school lifetime, I think rules changed. Actually, it was from the very beginning. I remember going to the Ringwood special services. And it was like, you know, Marisa needs special service. There's no question about it. You look at her. I never had a problem. People saying, "Oh, you're going to have a problem." Zero problem. Everyone was great, always. And but I could have, as a parent, insisted on inclusion for Marisa. I could have insisted that Marisa be with kids without any developmental disabilities in their same classroom. She would have disrupted them and really hindered their learning. But I have the right to ask for inclusion. I asked for exclusion for everyone's sake. So Marisa is one of those kids on the school board rolls. It's like out of district. Do they really have to go out of district? Let's bring them back in district and save money. You never save money on a kid like Marisa. You need economies of scale. And that's why schools like the Skyland School, like NJ Etta, there's another school now in Oakland that's great for them, Bleshman. They're the type because of this needs for, remember, skilled nursing, therapists, specialized adaptive equipment. The adaptive equipment is so expensive. You need a hospital bed. You need all adapted seating. Everything, you need space. We take up so much money, so much for one person in Ringwood. Mm-hmm. I could have insisted on that, but I said, no, you know, really, I don't want to hinder other kids' learning, and it's better for Marisa. She had a wonderful time. So again, inclusion, not for everyone. Please don't force inclusion. You would not believe the disability advocates that force inclusion. I was in a meeting in the state, it was almost a riot, where they insisted, I forget, what did they insist? They wanted us all to follow the rules of like kids who had Asperger's and be totally independent without like caregivers or anything. I'm dead serious. We said, are you out of your mind? They will die. This is not, your Asperger's is on this end. We're not going to tell you to live like us, but we can't live like you. Yeah, inclusion for you, special things for us. Like, but you would not believe the big to do. It was in the papers. I'll have to send you the.
Incredible.
Yeah. So it's a different life. It's a fun life.
Yes.
The kids are great. They make your life so much fun. They really do, but it's crazy.
Yeah, and another thing that Lindsay and I have talked about, and we actually had a meeting with the mayor.
Yes.
John Spear, to talk about affordable housing
Yes.
for Maurice's population, and how it could tie in with senior housing.
Yes, absolutely. And the interesting thing is that towns, we made a real objective of this, because towns, Ringwood at the time did not have these funds. It was called COA funds. And Governor Christie was going to take all the COA funds that were unused. So we went around, my colleague Marcia and I went around to every single Passaic County town that still had COA funds and said, you have to do affordable housing in your town, do it for the developmentally disabled, and do it with United Way of Bourbon County. They do a dynamite job. They have like 30, 40 different housing projects. And the one in Mawa is really cool, because the one in Mawa has a small group home for more severe, not Maurice's grade, but a little bit more. They have individual apartments, and then they have some senior housing. So they are able to do their affordability quotient, or whatever the town has to do, in such a lovely little like enclave of people that will be symbiotic, that will work with each other.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with housing and housing funds that costs everyone zero, because they're out there. People just don't know how to spend them.
And that was to me was such a winning idea. The data shows that when seniors have someone to care for, right, it enhances their quality of life significantly, and to put them in a complex where they would be able to interact with these disabled children, it's a big win.
Yes.
Because
it is.
Yeah, because the seniors
are wonderful.
Yeah, the seniors have someone who's less able than they are, so they can help, and the disabled kids get to interact with people who are like their grandparents.
Yes, yes,
you know,
and you know, then you don't even have a need for respite, because the thing is, why would they leave? I just said, why do you want them to leave? Well, there comes a time when the parents just cannot care for the medically fragile child. They may be sick themselves. I know parents who have MS and are very ill themselves. One of the parents could pass away. It could become financially unfeasible to continue to do. Even their house is not set up. Our houses are really jury-rigged together, in terms of ramps and everything else, but we make it work. But at some point, they will have to leave the house. I said before, they can no longer go to nursing homes because it's going to hurt the state in terms of funding, period. And the best bet would be to go into something. This has not been created yet. We're trying to create something brand new that would have line of sight nursing, so that that economizes the need for the nurse, because you could have one nurse looking at 2 or 3 people, and it's just a different physical setup. Plus, they have a tremendous amount of equipment. Like, they literally need their own garage for each person. They have the equipment takes up so much room. If you think about it, the special bed. They have 2 or 3 chairs. They all have 2 or 3 chairs. They have a wheelchair. They have a bigger wheelchair. They have a seat when they eat. They have to have a bed. They might have a big changing table that goes up and down for the caregiver's back. So it's a lot. But, these things will happen in our lifetime. I really believe that, because, again, right thing to do for many reasons. Right. And if you don't even care about the kids and you only care about money, it still works. We say thank you. You only care about money? That's great. Let me show you how that will work.
Right. And that's the thing. We have the aging population is going to be eating up so much of the resources.
That's right.
And
it's true.
So with the aging population burgeoning and getting older and sicker and needing support, and this population is still very much with us and needing support for the length of their lives, however long that may be. And I don't know if you know numbers on like how long a medically fragile child.
Not as long as everybody else. I mean, unfortunately, not as long as everybody else. But making it into your 50s is definitely possible, and making it into your, 60s should be possible too. I know at Red Ribbon Academy we have two, we call them the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
We have two 50-year-olds.
No kidding.
Two 50-year-olds, yeah, and they are just fantastic. I mean, and they hang around together, and they have like a lot of romantic, relationships with, fake relationships.
Okay.
With, the guy from Full House. The guy who plays the father on Full House, Danny. She's in love with him. Another girl who's in her 30s is in love with Michael Bublé.
Okay.
So they have like really fun things, but we do have some too in their 50s, but definitely longer than that. With medical advances, and if they're living, they can live a beautiful life. And it's again the synchronicity between the seniors.
Sure.
Really cool.
Yeah, I love that idea.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And we were talking. You just basically need an acre and a half.
Yeah, that's what Tom Toronto of United Way said, an acre and a half to do this. And they have a beautiful. If you ever get a chance, take a look at what's done in Mahwah and Allendale and Ramsey. I mean, really cool. They're doing something in Glen Rock, and they have a lot of cool places. Yeah.
So we're
exciting things.
hoping that somebody in Ringwood donates an acre and a half, so that we can.
Right. That would be neat.
Yeah, so we can do that here in Ringwood for our population. So that's a really exciting possibility.
Yeah,
we've planted the seed.
Yeah, and, you never know. You throw it out there, you never know what's going to happen.
Hey, we've learned that you visualize something and you can make it manifest in the universe.
Absolutely. So it'll happen somewhere.
Yep, absolutely. So I need to ask you a difficult question, because obviously Marisa is going to need your care for as long as she's around, and I'm curious, and I'm sure there are others who have had the thought: what would happen if you were no longer around for her? What kind of
we have a will.
arrangements?
We have a will, and we have to have what's called a special needs trust.
Right.
So that means that we've told everybody, do not put Marisa in anyone's will. Nothing. Remember, can't have over $2,000.
Right. Because and remember, folks, that when someone is on Medicaid,
yes,
okay, giving them money is the worst thing that you can do for them.
You can't give them money.
Yeah.
But what you can do is you can give. So therefore, we can't give her any money. Any money that's left to us, we can't give directly to her. So you do what's called a special needs trust. So the money is kept in trust, and it has trustees and people. We have family members that are going to have her continue living where she's living, doing what she's doing. They would then have to either, unfortunately, they were all out of state. They would have to probably hire people to take our roles within the household. But through everything, we've met some really wonderful people, some of the staff people that have worked with her or therapists in the years. And I think that, it's not out of the realm of possibility for somebody to do that. So I'm not really even that worried. For us, it's almost like going to a family member and leaving everything she knows is much more difficult than just staying where she is, having the special needs trust, maintaining, her there. But, chances are that won't happen because, we're pretty healthy right now, but who knows what's going to happen. You never know. But no, we had to think of that. I mean, you literally have to think of that. You just can't not have a will, because when you go through the guardianship, it's almost like that's the point when you get it, at least a simple one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And do you guys have appointed advocates for you down the line, so that when you're older, you'll have somebody to look after you?
We would probably have the caregiver. It's funny you should say that, because I always say to my girlfriend Marcia, because her son is also developmentally disabled, I said, you and I will look at, one of us will look after the other. And we'll both look after Gary. She she's a single mom. And, so it's just sort of, you kind of we have been blessed with meeting a lot of caregivers. A lot.
Yeah.
That you could pull in to care for you. You know, so we don't have a burden because she's our only child. We don't have another child to say, you know, now you got to take care of her, then you got to take care of us, and But no, we don't have that. So we're kind of going to go with people that are probably professional caregivers instead of family members.
Right.
You know.
Right. And that's something that, by the way, at Grand Family Planning, that's something that we do. We help people who are single.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So, you know, because, or who maybe have children that are far away.
Yes.
Or, you know, somebody who's not nearby, and we help them to figure out who their advocate is going to be.
Yes.
Because
that's great. Because
Yeah.
that's a great service.
Yeah. Because
people must be frightened, you know.
Absolutely.
It's really frightened. I mean, my little neighbor, Albina, who used to live in Capsule, who lived to almost 103. And all the neighbors took care of her. Laurel, myself, Kate, Margaret Mello, everybody did a different thing for her. We all were her advocates.
Right.
And she lived in that house till she passed away.
And that's a great
yeah,
blessing.
It's a neighborhood. I mean, it's community.
Sure.
That's where the community. And to have something like the senior medically fragile house would really almost foster that type of feeling in Ringwood. It would make it formalized.
Yes.
It would give it a model. And I really hope that gets done. I hope that someday that I think would be good for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a shift, you know, in perspective that could be so positive.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get something like that done as well. So you know, as far as Medicaid goes, we touched on the bureaucracy, but what role does Medicaid play in Maurice's care?
Is that a question?
Let's see. How do I make connections with other families? How do I find appropriate programs? My son is almost 18 in Middlesex County.
Oh, well, I want you to call me at 201-314-8045. 201-314-8045. Contact Tracy if you didn't write that down fast enough.
Yes.
Get in touch with me.
Okay,
get
great.
in touch, because I can hook you up with different people in Middlesex County. And that's what I love about social media too. Is I can hook you up with people, so definitely through Tracy, get in touch with me.
Yes, and the website is grandfamilyplanning.com. So if you didn't, if Joanne, if you didn't get that that phone number, okay, contact me through Grand Family Planning, and I will connect you with Linda.
Yeah.
So thank you for the question, and thank you for coming to the webinar. Okay, so we were talking about the role Medicaid plays. So Marisa is home.
Yes.
And so there are services that Medicaid does provide, or they fund, or how does that actually work?
For all of the individuals with developmental disabilities, even the children, the nursing, if you need in-home nursing, that is paid for via Medicaid. It's a system called MLTSS. That's been a recent shift about 2 years ago from people doing it through their private insurance to now it's straight Medicaid. And that is that's one thing that Medicaid pays for. But Marisa has a Medicaid card. That's her second insurance card. So if my husband and I were to lose our health insurance, she would be covered through Medicaid. That is the affordable Medicaid, aka Obamacare, aka Affordable Care Act. So again, killing Obamacare? No, please, not for these kids, because they are all on these exchanges. Everybody, not just the medically fragile, every single developmentally disabled.
Right.
So that Medicaid is also, as I said, going to do a Medicaid expansion that's going to allow us to fund a lot of the services. Instead of the state of New Jersey There's going to be more taxpayer money available to do other things.
Awesome. That's great to know. So, all right. So we covered the nursing, the medical support. So, so aside from providing a great deal of care to your daughter, what other things are you doing? I know that you just got your master's degree, which we
Yes,
we
I
talked
did.
about.
I just went back. It was crazy because, of course, I had Carissa, but I did have a wonderful. Carissa was a wonderful person from Ringwood, very nice. Came over and watched Marisa. Sometimes her daughter Alyssa did, and really helped me out because I went to night school. And I did get my degree. I just was hired by Montclair State. I'm going to be teaching Monday and Wednesday. I'm going to be teaching Fundamentals of Speech, which is a general ed class in public speaking. And I had to hire somebody to help me put Marisa on the van in the morning. And if she stays home from Red Room Academy, that person's going to have to stay with her. So I hired someone for two half days, and I hired my girlfriend's daughter, who is caregiver of her brother, who's developmentally disabled, and she is also a registered home health care aide. So she's going to come work for us, and she's going to babysit her in the morning and just get her on the van for me. So.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. But there is. But by the way, for the other families that are on, if you do need services, if you do need somebody to provide in-home care, there's a program called the Personal Preference Program that is paid for with, I believe that is funded by Medicaid. And that pays for a home health care aide to come to your house and help in the mornings or at night. We chose to do it with someone we know and not go through an agency, but you can have that help too. I'm sure you know that from the elderly people who have in-home care.
Well, yeah, there are a number of different agencies that
provide that.
We're aware of, yeah, and we one of the things that excuse me, where the elder population is involved, we advocate for the use of professional caregivers because for a few reasons, but number one, you want to make sure that they're screened and they're background checked and they're licensed, and that they that they can document their time and how the time is spent, especially when you have a loved one who is going to have to file for Medicaid. Because generally the elderly, they're coming from a place of having privately paid for a period of time, and then when they run out of resources,
that's right, they have to get on.
Then
Medicaid.
right. So the document trail, they have to document who's cared for them, what's been done for them by the caregivers. So it's a complex process, and also the elderly are vulnerable to being victimized by unscrupulous people. So you want to make absolutely sure that people who are coming into their home have been screened and and background checked so that they are, and they're not going to be abused or or harmed in any way. So it's a very important topic.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So okay. Well, you know what? We're past 8 o'clock.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that went fast.
That went fast. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask: are there any final thoughts you would like to share with anyone who's watching?
I would just like to say, in terms, I think there was a question on there. What would I have done differently? Yes. First of all, for Joanne who wrote in, I would have started now. For the after 21, which I think was your question. And had I known that when Marisa graduated in 2010, what awaited her or did not await her, and the real lack of quality services, I would have started a lot earlier. I was really surprised. I was really surprised by the disarray I was surprised by what I saw, not pleasantly. I was surprised by how much work it was to convince people to do the right thing in the state. I was really surprised because our individuals they're not workers. They're not going to be working. And we're in a society where it only, if you're not working, you're a taker and you're worthless. And I think, the kids are not going to work. Our kids, some will, a lot, most will, as you saw the bar chart, most will, but ours won't. And I think I would say that they are worthy. And I would end this by saying, in the words of one of the young men that goes to Red Ribbon Academy, and he has a lot more going from, he can walk somewhat, and he's got a good full mind, and pretty good. And I said, what do you think when you see somebody like, Marisa, or I pointed out some of the other kids, that can do so little? And you know what he said? He said, their job is to make us feel warm and tenderhearted. And our job is to help take care of them. So out of the mouth of babes, comes something really profound. And I think that they are really wonderful individuals that will make your life, really fun and make you appreciate. And, caring for them it's, I guess in the long run, it's a blessing. I have to say there were many times I did not have that viewpoint, because it is tough, but it's really worth it. It's really wonderful. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks for doing this. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And thanks for everybody to come out and watch tonight.
Yeah, yes. And I just, before we go, a little plug for Grand Family Planning.
Yes.
So I wanted to let folks watching know that Grand Family Planning, a lot of people think that, well, when they hear the family planning thing, they think it's about birth control. And that couldn't be farther
Neither one
from
of
the
us
truth.
are having more kids.
That's, yeah, no, not this week. So the Grand Family Planning, the whole idea is the multi-generational aspect of planning, because we help families. And we say, at Grand Family Planning, you should practice life control. And the way that you practice life control is by planning for the kinds of things that go wrong, the kinds of things that are unpleasant to think about, but unfortunately happen. So what we try to help families identify where there might be some gaps in their planning, and help them to figure out what they need to do before some kind of tragedy strikes. Okay, so I'm going to show you that we have an offer for you guys, and what we have here is we offer a free consultation. Okay, so ordinarily I will give a free half-hour consultation, but if you act in the next day, okay, I will give you a free 1-hour consultation on the phone, and you can pick my brain. You can ask me any questions that you want. So I welcome you to take advantage of that offer. And hey, it's no pressure, no harm, no foul. Just come on over, and we'll have a chat. And if anything that Linda had to offer resonated with you, and you want to catch up with her, I will be happy to make a connection. I would also encourage you guys, if you're watching live, if you're watching on the replay, please reach out, because I would like to know what you need. We have immense resources at Grand Family Planning, and our goal is to educate as many people as we can, so that people will be prepared. Because we have, if you listen tonight, you know now how complex and difficult our system is. You've gotten a little bit of a taste.
Yes, true.
So in order to be able to navigate, it helps to have a guide. Okay, and we have several guides, and we know what it takes to navigate our very difficult system. So by taking advantage of the team at Grand Family Planning, you can develop your own team, your own support system, so that when you are faced with having to figure out how to deal with these kinds of situations, you can take advantage of this brain trust that we have here at Grand Family Planning. Ask us questions and allow us to help you figure out what you can do to protect your family, so that when the worst happens, it'll still suck, okay? But it will suck less because you have support and you have and you have a team of professionals behind you.
Yeah, I would say that is true. And I think, you know, in terms of special needs, I think that in terms of the complexities, Tracy could really help with a lot of things.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, contact her, stay involved, stay informed. As I said before, we have to get to know the system in order to correct the system and work through it.
Right.
So,
and if you think the goofballs in Washington or in Trenton are going to fix the problems, I think you realize what the answer to that is. A resounding no.
But you can still get what you want.
Yes.
You can still get what you want.
Right.
And what you need.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But you have to know where to go to be heard.
Absolutely.
And there's strength in numbers. So
yes. And I like to say thanks to all the moms and dads that worked with me on advocating state and nationally, especially for Red Ribbon Academy. And we're still going. We're still going.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more work to be done.
A lot more work to be done.
Absolutely.
Oh,
so
we have time. We have time.
Hey, you know, we're still young. We're still here. You know, every day you get up and you draw a breath, is another day when you can get more work done.
That's right.
So anyway, I'm Tracy Lawrence for Grand Family Planning. I would like to thank Linda Thomas for coming on with me tonight. I know we ran a little late, but hey, you know, look, I hope, you know, if you've seen this and you've found value in it, you'll tell your friends, and you know, please share the resources with them. We do have on our website, we have a number of great resources. That special needs packet is one. There are also some really great caregiver resources. So take advantage. They're free. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if you feel inspired and you want to get more information, by all means, reach out to us. Call me. There's a contact page on the website, and sign up for our list, because there are some really great free resources that we will send you as our thanks for joining our list. And you know, and sign up for a subscription to this series. We're going to be on once a month, the last Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, with more great content like this. And let us know what you want, because we're going to be doing a lot more of these. It's going to be a regular thing, and we're doing it for you. We're doing it for people like yourself who are hungry for knowledge that's not readily available, that you can't just Google. And put it out there in a way that will be meaningful for you. So, thanks so much for coming tonight, and we hope that wherever you are, that you're having a great evening, and hope to see you next month, if not before. I'm Tracy Lawrence for Grand Family Planning, and thanks so much, Linda.
Thank you, Tracy. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night. Here we go. Bye-bye. Yes, we're going to end.